Talk to me about that.
Wow, man, it's been 25. We celebrated our 25th pastor anniversary last month.
Yeah.
Actually, we're doing it all the way to the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So we, Dr. Sherry and I have been here 25 years. Got here
Yeah.
June of 1998.
Good Lord, this baby.
And we were children.
Yeah.
Not children
26,
anymore.
27?
26, 27 years old.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes, I mean, for you to say that, I mean, I'm pretty sure when it was the first year or the second year, we don't really look at like what is 25 going to look like.
Right.
But when you get to that point and looking back, and it's just like, man, it's only getting better.
Yeah.
You know?
We have grown exponentially.
Yeah.
Like you said, we were 26, 27.
Yeah.
You know, we were the first pastor at Fifth Street to actually give birth to a child. You know, pastors came in that already had children.
Yeah.
So Chandler was everybody's baby. So they thought.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd get to church late and go in the office, go during offering time. But to know he's 23, getting ready to graduate from college, he's their baby too. Cortland as well, 19.
Yeah.
And so God has been faithful. You know, I tell my husband, I appreciate him because I mean he's serious. I mean he loves to preach, he loves to pastor, he loves to meet the needs of people, and so it has been a fun journey. Very different than you know. I've had some pastors' wives in over the years like, oh my God, it's horrible. I love this dude, so it's fun doing life with him, and I'm a church rat myself, and so I mean just being able to connect with the people is why we've been here for 25 years.
Yeah. What would you say, neither one of you can respond, what would you say as far as, let's talk about relationship, the longevity of the relationship? Anything that you do, you have to work at it.
Yeah.
It's just not going to fall down like, oh, wow, it just fell in. It's like, no, it's like my old school car. When you don't touch it, it falls apart.
Right.
You have to keep it up. So I want to talk about the relationship with both of you, and then I want to transition to our kids, because that's something where it's like in my house, it's like, hey, you need to do it a certain way, whatever. So talk to me about your.
One of the things I will say is that I think as we have gotten older here, you cannot be afraid to be adventurous.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be afraid to try different things. And so one of the reasons I love Sherry is because she's indulged me. When I get brain ideas, Sherry,
like the bike.
I want to get a bike. Right. Oh, really?
Okay.
Let's go get a bike.
Really?
That's how that happened. Because I think I was watching the Tour de France and I was like, man, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It looks better on TV than it does. Yeah. So we went and got a bike. Then I told her I wanted to learn how to fish. Went to Walmart at midnight, bought a bunch of stuff from Walmart. Had never fished. I'm from Chicago, from the city.
Yeah.
Bought all this stuff.
First time we fished, got four catfish.
At the zoo lake, at the lake by the zoo. So caught 4 fish. Now we're in the Western. So I go to all of the rodeos, the PBR, the American Quarter Horse Association.
Where are we going today?
We're going to American Quarter Horse Association. The fraternity is here down at the Jim Norrick Arena. I was there this past couple of weeks. They had another competition. Well, I love it. So she indulges. Part of it is you have to find somebody that indulges. And what it does is it keeps, to your point about working, it keeps you adventurous, knowing you get one life. So why not try it? Why spend your life working and complaining about work when you can just pause and say, you know what, I'm gonna come back to that later. Let me go have some fun.
Live.
Let me enjoy this.
Right.
You know, we just went to Cripple Creek, Colorado, which was we were in the mountains, 9,000 feet elevation.
Right.
Got a house that was isolated
Yeah.
from everybody.
Yeah.
Stayed there for a week. And I had to get the oxygen because it was 9,000 feet in the air.
Altitude.
But we enjoyed it. It was beautiful to see the mountains. So that's one of the things I tell people about relationship. Do stuff that you've never done before. Challenge yourself. Try it together. Yeah. She loves cowboy stuff now.
Oh, really?
If you're gonna do it,
if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. We do it. We do it. We do it.
You sound like you're more so of it where you execute things. Where he may say it, and he's just like, "I'll be right back."
Right. Let's do it. Let's do it. So what's interesting? He's been talking about getting a ranch. Now they're into horses now. People are like, "What happened to y'all?" Because y'all from Philly and Chicago. Like, what is this?
Steal my city card from
What is this? Right. Revoked. So let's get a little house, some land, couple of horses. But all of who I am as well is it can't just be for us. Right. It has to be for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so I would love, even on that ranch, to have a nonprofit where I bring Black kids from the city and they come out and they get their hands in dirt and they, get to, horses feel everything. Yeah. And so, kids dealing with anxiety. what will it feel like to stand next to the horse
Yeah.
and realize, hey, if you don't calm down, the horse is not going to calm down. And so, so I see that. So he brought one thing out, let's do this. And I'm like, hey, but God ain't through with us yet.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
right.
it may not be in the pulpit,
Right.
but you can do ministry in everything that you do. And so I would really, knowing how I feel about education, I would really like to educate our Black kids into agricultural life, something I didn't grow up with. You know, I'm from Philly, New Jersey area, but I did have a backyard.
Yeah.
And I did remember, you know, we lived on a corner house and it was a slope, and my dad getting out there with us and going down the hill, and you know, and so sometimes you realize kids don't have that. You take that for granted. So what would it be like? Hey, let me teach you how to plant a garden, or to plant a flower, or to be by some horses, you know. So yeah.
I think the core of what we're talking about is family, and of course tomorrow being Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it's all working together. I do want to touch bases on what about those husbands and wives that have kids? We have sons, we have daughters, and we want to prepare them for life.
Yeah.
And one of the main things for my children is who they are yoked up with. And I just don't want them out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when it comes to when they start talking about relationships, and it's like, wow, this is new for me, you know. And how do you handle that? Step one, or just anything you want to share with our listeners.
Go ahead.
I think one, if they see you in a good, healthy relationship. So Byron and I have tried to model just being good people, and how to treat each other with respect. And so it's funny to see my oldest open a door for a young lady, or my youngest, and you know, they understand that because they saw daddy do that. There's some things they're probably like, I'm not doing that. That's okay. But I think I'm not necessarily concerned about who I am. Let me take that back. But let me start here first. I am confident in the young men that they are.
That's good.
And so their conversations, I'm grateful that both Chandler and Cortland don't run from daddy. And so they know that they can go to dad and ask questions. They know they may come to mom and ask different questions, and mom is going to tell you, that's not it. But I think because they have been watching us, I'm not necessarily concerned. I've seen their character over the years.
Okay. The three of us are just having conversation.
Yeah.
I love the mother's perspective.
Right.
I want you to respond to something I'm going to say.
Uh-oh.
No, it's good. This is good.
Right.
Because people can feed off of this, whether they experience it, they maybe don't understand. Because I think with me and my wife, we're different. If they're talking to someone, whether going out to get coffee or this or that, well, you need to talk to you. My deal is like, I don't care about that person. Not that I don't care about them.
Right.
I'm only concerned about my child.
Right.
And make sure they understand what they're walking into.
Right.
You know,
Right.
well, you need to have a talk with them. It's like, no. As far as I'm concerned, how do you define it? This is just a person that maybe you're just going out, you know, to coffee, and that's what any friend.
Right.
And what I told, you know, my sons, you know, my daughters too, and they laughed when they were young. It's like, just have a friend. When you're in school, don't get off into that giggling and, oh, that's his girlfriend. Everybody's giggling, and this is like, when you have a friend, you can never go wrong because that friend will be there. Now, if it so happened to evolve into something else, then that's something different. So how do you respond to that?
So my first thing would be, as I would say, not just from a father's perspective, but I tell anybody, and I tell my friends this, is to make sure, three things. One is make sure your child has, especially boys, has a great sense of self-confidence. That's number one. Number one, I tell, that's a zero-sum policy for me. It's because the world is hard. It is harsh. And one of the things that Black boys suffer from as they get older is low self-esteem. So I tell any young father, I've had this conversation with some of my friends. I said, listen, whatever you do, grades are great, but you make sure that self-esteem is intact. Because you will operate out of that self-esteem in relationships and everything else more than anything else. When you're on a date, nobody cares about your grades, but that self-esteem is going to come up. Whether you have low self-esteem, you're going to look for attention in certain areas. So deal with the self-esteem first. Confidence is first in anything. The second thing is your dreams and your goals. What are your plans? So you're not just daydreaming with somebody about how much y'all care about each other. What are your plans? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And don't limit them.
Yeah.
Don't say to yourself, well, I'm only going to do this. No, the world is yours. You can do whatever you want to
Yeah.
do. That engages the person you're with because you'll be able to determine who you're sitting across from, whether they have dreams and goals. Are their dreams and goals just you? Because if their dreams and goals are just being with you, then they don't have dreams and goals.
Yeah.
Right.
I need you to have something beyond me that's higher, that's better, that's bigger.
Mhm.
The third thing I would say, what's even more important, is keep the lines of communication open with your children.
Yes.
Do not.
Very important.
You and I were raised, we're probably the same age. We were raised in a different generation.
Yep.
Our fathers didn't communicate with us. It was do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah.
That was, but we have a different generation. We have to engage them.
Yes.
So I tell every young father, talk to your children.
Yeah.
Talk to them. Chandler and Coleman, my father provided for me, but we didn't have the best relationship in terms of communication.
Right.
I made sure that I reversed that.
Yeah.
I made sure that my children could talk to me about anything. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go off on you. I ain't going to beat you. I ain't going to throw you against the wall. I ain't going to cuss you out because toxicity produces toxicity.
Yeah.
If you have a toxic home and you have a toxic marriage, you're producing toxic children. Your toxic children will produce toxic generations.
Lord.
It will go over and over. And now you wonder why your family's forever broke. Now you wonder why your family's forever suffering from all of these other things because you never got rid of the toxicity. Address that in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Communicate with your children.
Let me say this, Doctor, before I come to you.
You're good.
You're absolutely right because my wife and I were totally different when we first started having kids. One of my things were when the kids would ask me, I was like, no, you don't question me, because I said so.
Yeah.
And then they would come back, well, may I ask why? And my response was, no, you can't.
Right.
And then this is when that relationship thing comes into order. Well, mom said that I can ask why. And it's like, I come from the generation, you don't question me.
You don't question.
Because I'm always looking out for your best
They're
interest.
going to ask somebody.
Right.
They're going to ask somebody.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you don't want them asking the wrong person.
Exactly. So I was the stubborn one, or I was set in my ways, and I had to change my way of thinking
Right.
and interacting.
Right.
Doc, talk to us about loving, especially when it comes to boys. And the same thing applies to girls. How do you make them have a sense of knowing that they're loved? I think a lot of boys feel insecure and they don't have that relationship with dad, and they do get out there and they run with the wild pack, so to speak,
Right.
which is me. So how do you make sure that your boys are loved?
When Chandler was 6 months to a year, I remember there was an older lady at the church, and I would kiss all on his cheeks. He was just juicy, and so I kiss him all the time. And she said, don't be kissing all on that baby. You're going to spoil him. I said, it's my baby. And I want him to feel the love. And what is so beautiful that at 23 and 19, all those kisses that I gave to them, they give back to me.
They still kiss their mom.
They do. They come, hey, mama. Hey, mama.
Good.
And so,
Because a lot of families don't. They don't
right,
kiss.
right,
Yeah.
right. And I came from my mom and dad. I was just kissy, huggy. And so I have produced those children, and that's a blessing to me because those very things I used to give them, they actually minister back to me. And so I love that. I don't know that there's any special form. Be okay just being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right.
Like letting your kids know, oh, I messed up. Right. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I think probably with my youngest one, with the oldest one, I remember he was like 2 and I was popping legs. And this one here said, he was like, Sherry, we got to come up with another way. Every time he does something wrong, you can't pop him.
Right.
I was like, oh,
And we come out of that culture.
Right.
We come out of
Right.
that culture. I just,
Right.
and I tell people, come on, man. I'm not.
Right.
You're trying to produce productive citizens in the
Yeah.
world. Not just, and I hate to say this,
Yeah.
but I have to say, I'm not just trying to produce somebody that can go get a job.
Yeah.
I'm trying to produce a world changer.
Yeah.
Right? There's a difference. I need you to go and attack the world.
Yeah.
In order to do that, I cannot have you with toxicity.
Yeah.
I can't have you looking out, being abusive,
Right.
your children will be, and maybe I need to say it like this. Let's put it on street level. Say it like this, Tim.
Yeah.
Stop all the fussing in the house. Let me put it in the culture. Stop all the fussing.
Yeah.
I've pastored 25 years. I know one thing that African American people have a PhD in. That's fussing. Stop all the fussing. What you fussing for, man? And I have to catch myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get in the rabbit hole and I'll start, and it's like, hold on, pause. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Your children will mimic your behavior,
Yeah.
and they will replicate that in their families. I said on Sunday in my sermon, when you sit at the Thanksgiving table, Just sit at the table and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
Don't complain and fuss about who ain't did this and who ain't did. That's not what that's for.
Right.
We're supposed to share each other, love each other, care for each other. We know we have issues.
Yeah.
So let's not let the issues bleed on the table. That's another side dish.
Right.
Your issues is a side dish. Right?
Yeah.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
Yeah, but what about those situations? And I was going to go the mushy route, and well, the meaning of Thanksgiving is more than just the turkey. But what about when you do have those relationships, whether it's a cousin or brother, you got that one uncle or whatever, where they do bring that negative behavior, to the family, not just Thanksgiving, just anytime. But you got to deal with that too. And sometimes we deal with it in our culture by not saying anything, not addressing it. And we see the bad behavior. It's almost like, you're giving them a pardon and you never address the bad behavior.
Yeah. That's tough. Go ahead.
And I think COVID did that for us.
Yeah.
Because remember, you couldn't go to somebody's house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so for some, it's like, oh, we can't get together. For some, it was a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many people are sitting at the table with an abuser
Yeah.
and the family's quiet?
Right.
Wow.
And so for 2 years, I think when we could not do that, I believe it became a wake-up call. So now you can make a decision who sits at your table, whether they're blood or whether they're friends,
Right.
Wow.
whether it's just the people in your house
Right.
or you go around and get a plate because you don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so for us, I think for me, that was a wake-up call. Thankfully, I didn't necessarily have that issue growing up, but I do recognize, especially in Black homes, because we keep things quiet.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody is sitting in the room with somebody who stole from them or somebody who was in abuse, and everybody knows it in the room. You have an opportunity to make a decision and to make a choice. I will not allow that to cross my threshold. And it might cause a little schism in the family, but if I'm not going to go to somebody's house that I have aught with,
Right.
Yeah.
if I have a problem with you, and I know it's because some past trauma,
And if
some
I've
past,
not sought forgiveness,
and
if I've not sought forgiveness, if I've not reached out to you, if I say, yeah, I messed up,
right,
I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have said that, or whatever. If I haven't done that, then it's someone, or they did.
Right.
The reality is that you two have not gotten to that place. And I say this, don't be, and I know you can relate to this, Terry, don't be a proficient at talking about politics without talking about your family.
Yeah.
There are more people that can talk about the Gaza Strip, but you won't talk about the stuff that's been existing in your family.
Yeah.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
Let's address it because we're about healing.
Yeah.
How do we perpetuate healthy generations in our family unless we talk about stuff? And there are some situations where the two people that are not involved need to talk about it for the other people that are involved.
Right.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. Not only is someone doing something wrong as if they took something that they caused the pain, is it okay for, let's say, me, for instance, and you come over, is it okay to address you and tell you, I've been hanging on to anger because you stole from me?
Not Thanksgiving Day.
No.
Like before we cut the turkey.
Put the turkey on.
Not Thanksgiving Day, guys.
In general.
In general, yes. We don't want to start no fights on Thanksgiving. Let's wait till after Thanksgiving. I saw you and I was like, no.
Okay, some other time.
Some other time.
But hopefully that conversation was had. Hopefully that conversation was had before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
If you knew they were coming over, right?
Or after. You may need to just eat. Hey, we got something to talk about later.
No, I don't want you to
Black Friday.
After I go shopping, I'll be right over.
Okay, in closing, I want both of you to say something. What should we prepare for? What's in your heart as far as that you want to share for tomorrow, being the day of being thankful? Not just tomorrow, but every day, but what's in your heart you want to share?
Well, first, go ahead.
We had this conversation this morning. One of the things we normally do at the church is give out Thanksgiving baskets.
Yeah, tell them what we did.
And I'm on my way. But he had an opportunity to do some work with hospice like over the summer. And I think it opened up his eyes to something new. And he realized, what about, you can't feed the residents because of course they're, have dietary restrictions, but there are people who come in every day to take care of those individuals.
Yes.
And we know that they're not the CEO. We know that they're not management level. So what does it look like for us as a church to wrap around them to say, we see you and we thank you for pouring into somebody's grandmom and mima and papa, whoever is there, or somebody who's in a skilled nursing facility after rehab. Thank you. So what we did on Monday was somebody cooked at the church. We cooked, we took food, and we fed the lunch staff and the evening staff at Wildwood
skilled nursing.
Yeah.
And MLK.
Yes, just to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes you're looking for this big gesture, but those little things add up.
Yeah.
You know, you see somebody out in the street, thank you.
Yeah.
It's not just thank you, Lord, because I have a Thanksgiving table and I am grateful to be alive.
Yeah. The hospital workers are underpaid, underappreciated, and undervalued in this country.
Yeah.
So we said, let's do something different.
Yeah.
To answer your question, when you sit at the table, you are not just called to your vocation, but you're called to your relation, your relationships, your family.
Yeah.
And so when you sit at the table, value and appreciate the people that are at the table.
Yeah.
They mean more to you than anything.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
More than your job, more than your money, more than your career, more than all those things. Appreciate the people you sit at the table with.
Yeah.
I have gained an appreciation for these adventures that I've been on.
Yeah.
Because every day is another day to experience a person, a relationship, a gift, a talent, something. So when you sit at the table, be grateful for the people you sit at the table with and keep the drama away from the Thanksgiving table. It doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Take that toxicity, go see a counselor, get some help. But don't do that. Don't do that.
Deal with it.
Deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Not-
But celebrate your family.
Exactly. And you may have to say, I need to holler at you tomorrow.
Tomorrow after I go shopping. Right.
It's a pleasure spending time.
Always
talking
Good to
you.
see you.
And I can sit here all day.
Hey, man.
We can talk. And
Definitely. When you start Bike Club, don't forget us, please.
I'm
I'm gonna challenge you on that. That's it.
okay.
Since
Next
you like
bike
that,
season,
next bike season, I will be on there.
we gonna hit it.
All right,
Yeah,
let's do
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, you go horseback riding with us.
Okay. Let me know about that. All right. We appreciate you.
Take
All
care.
right. We'll
Thank
take a
you,
break. We'll come back. More open mic. That was good.